Hello everyone, how's it going? This is a review of chapter 1135 of One Piece. Before we begin, I would appreciate it if you could like the video and subscribe to my channel. Now without further ado, let's get right into the chapter. First, as per usual, we have the cover page. And in this cover page, we see that apparently Tama is now strong enough to take care of Holden on her own. It's good to see that her training to become a kunoichi is already paying off. And honestly, considering how overpowered her devil fruit can be, since she can presumably have an army of an unlimited number of animals at her disposal, it will be interesting to see how much of a role she plays in the final war. I am looking forward to it. Now starting with the actual chapter. This chapter is essentially divided into 5 parts. In the first part, we get a continuation of Robin's group exploring the Owl Library from the last chapter. The most important thing that happens in this part is probably Saul explaining that the reason books turn gigantic when they enter the library is because of the master of the library, a giant owl by the name of Bibelot. Now I don't know if it's pronounced Bibelot or Bibelot, but Bibelot sounds more natural to me, so I'm going to stick with that for now. Saul also mentions that Bibelot has been around for hundreds of years. He then also says that the new schools don't deliver newspapers to Elbaf because they are not a part of the world government. So whenever fishermen find some tiny newspapers out at sea, they bring them back here in order to gigantify them and read them. Lilith then speculates that Bibelot must have eaten the real fruit, which made him a nurturing owl. She also says that it's impressive that Bibelot can also use his powers on inorganic things, also stating that it is the perfect ability to have on an island of giants. Chopper then begins to wonder if they have any medical books in the library, to which Robin answers that there were some medical books in the library of Ohara, but most of them were archaeological and historical books. Saul then says that there are some native Elbaf medical books in the library as well, but since they were gigantic to begin with, they don't turn smaller when taken out of the library, to Chopper's disappointment. After that, we have the second part of the chapter, where we cut over to Luffy and the gang hanging out at the Walrus School. We see that Luffy is having fun on a tree swing, swinging it as hard as he can with Usopp and 2 of the giant boys on it. Usopp seems to be having fun, telling Luffy to swing it harder. The giant boys not so much. Eventually, Luffy and Usopp get stopped and beaten up by Nami for scaring the kids. The boys go crying to Gerd and hug her. Luffy tells them that it's shameful for a warrior to cry. Sanji stops him and reminds him that they grew up in peaceful times and were raised with love and kindness. Although we see that the boys are actually just taking advantage of the situation to hug Gerd. Luffy then tells Usopp that the current state of Elbaf is a bit of a letdown, to which Usopp says that a peaceful Elbaf is not really a bad thing. Afterwards, Luffy gets attacked by the giant kid Colon, who was introduced a few chapters ago, using a wooden sword. Luffy easily blocks the attack, breaking the wooden sword in the process, before retaliating with Elephant Gun, although he misses the attack on purpose. Usopp tells him not to overdo it. Luffy then says that it's good to see that not all children on Elbaf are spineless, after which the other children yell at Luffy and Colon for fighting. Ripley then scolds Colon for fighting, while also praising his first strike. Here we find out that Colon is apparently Ripley's son, and that his father is apparently a human. After that, Luffy and the gang also visit the library, where Robin tells him that she wants to talk to Saul for a bit longer, so she won't be attending the feast for now. Chopper says that he will also be staying in the library. Lilith then says that she will also be hanging around there to get her residence permit, and it's the same with Bonnie. Franky then says that he is going to go and check out the treasure tree Adam. Here we find out that apparently there are multiple Adams in the One Piece world, and the one on Elbaf is just the oldest one. Right as they are about to leave the library, Gerd stops them and gives them new clothes to wear that she made herself. Here she once again insists that while she also likes humans, she is not the same as Zoro. After that, we have the next part of the chapter, where we cut away to the castle where Shanks, or the guy that looks like Shanks, and the other girl showed up at the end of the last chapter. Here we see that they were spotted by some guards, who ask them if they are part of the Straw Hat crew. The girl says that they are looking for Loki, and asks the guard where he is, to which they respond that they can't tell her that, on the off chance that he uses them to escape somehow. After that, the girl fires off something which causes one of the giants, named Bogi, to start screaming that it hurts and collapsing on the ground. The girl then tells the remaining giant that she wasn't really asking before, and that this time she is ordering them to tell her Loki's location. And in the final part of the chapter, we cut over to the western village of Elbaf, where the feast has finally begun. We see the Straw Hats and the Giants having a merry time and enjoying themselves with the giants raising up Camaraderie Cups for the Straw Hats. We also get a confirmation of the fact that Shanks is the same giant as the one that was in the auction house in Sabaody. We already knew this through external sources, but it's good to have a confirmation of it in the actual story. And then finally, we end off the chapter with the arrival of the Elbaf elder, Mountain Beard Jarul. We see that Jarul is quite a bit bigger than Dory, and he also has a sword stuck in his head. Although he says that it's stuck to his helmet, even though, as Luffy also points out, the sword is clearly going right through his head. All in all, this was a great chapter of One Piece, where we had a lot of funny scenes, coupled with interesting lore drops, as well as some story progression. I guess we will have to wait a bit longer for the next chapter because of the Shonen Jump New Year's break. So I'll see you guys when the next chapter comes out. Make sure to like and subscribe. Bye bye.